Hey guys, my name is Jay. I'm one of the expert TOEFL teachers here at E2 Language. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to write an essay, a TOEFL independent essay. I'm going to take you through the entire thing from the very first sentence of the introduction right through to the final sentence of the conclusion. So if you're unsure about how to structure your essay or what to write or how to do it in any way, let's do this together, okay? So let's have a closer look at it. So we're looking at TOEFL independent writing. This is task 2, the independent essay. So in this lesson, I'm going to firstly describe the task to you. We're going to look at the essay structure we'll use and that you should use on test day. I'm going to teach you how to write an introduction and paragraphs 1 and 2 and possibly 3, which is optional, and also how to write a conclusion. So in fact, these 3 things, the introduction, the paragraphs, and the conclusion, are your essay. So why are we doing this? Well, I want you to understand how to write a TOEFL essay. But it's more than that. It's not just about how to write an essay. It's about getting you a high score. That's what it's about, okay? Cool. So first of all, let me describe the task to you. So in TOEFL integrated writing task, you give your opinion and specific reasons and examples to support your opinion. That's what you have to do. You need to write a minimum of 300 words and you have 30 minutes to do this. Now let's look at an example essay question. I'll read this one to you. Okay. So we can see that it's an agree or disagree type of essay, an argumentative essay. It says, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Here's the statement. So, while I read this, think to yourself, do I agree or disagree? A teacher's ability to relate well with students is more important than excellent knowledge of the subject being taught. Let me read it again. A teacher's ability to relate well with students is more important than excellent knowledge of the subject being taught. Do you agree or disagree? How do you feel about this question prompt? Do you think that a teacher's character and their ability to connect to students is more important than their knowledge of the subject? This is an agree-disagree essay. Now, you're probably thinking, well, both is good. If a teacher's, personable and also knowledgeable, that's the best thing. But this isn't about that. You need to choose a side here. You need to choose a side, and that will make your life a lot easier when you write this essay because you'll argue for one side over the other side, okay? You'll see that in my essay. And then finally it says, use specific reasons and examples to support your opinion. Okay, fine. So the essay structure we're going to use is this. We're going to have an introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2. We're going to have an optional paragraph 3 depending on the word count. Remember, you need to get to 300 words. So if you've written 2 paragraphs and you're at 250, then you may need to include this additional paragraph. And also, of course, you need a conclusion. So more specifically, if we break this down, this is what the entire essay is going to look like. So your introduction is going to have 1, 2, 3 sentences. First sentence, you'll write a general statement. Then you'll rewrite the prompt in your own words and say, this essay will blah, blah, blah. That's the structure for the introduction. The structure for the paragraphs is like this. Sentence 1, you'll give a reason. Then you'll expand upon that with an explanation. You'll give an example and you'll write a closing sentence. So there'll be 4 sentences in each of your paragraphs. Fine. And then your conclusion will have 2 sentences where you briefly mention the reasons in paragraphs 1 and 2 and possibly 3. And you give your overall opinion. So I'm going to take you through this sentence by sentence. And trust me, once you've done this once you've written an essay like this once, it just becomes like, oh wow, I know how to do it. If you don't have a structure and you try to write an essay yourself, it's just, I don't know about you, but it's like a jungle. It's not good, right? But if you follow this cookie cutter approach, this systematic approach to writing an essay, trust me, you write one of these like this and you think, oh wow, I understand now how to structure an essay and why it's structured like this. Structure for an essay is so critical because it's not just what it does, having a good structure actually organizes your thoughts. And once you've organized your thoughts, the writing becomes much easier. Okay, then you can concentrate on your grammar and vocabulary because you've got this structure that you're working with and you're not thinking about the structure. So it will improve your writing enormously, in other words. Fine, let's look at the plan. We need a plan. We need to write a quick plan. We've got 30 minutes to write this essay. Let's plan for just 30 seconds. So the plan is this. You need to ask yourself, well, basically 3, maybe 4 questions. First one, what's your overall opinion? Second question, what's your reason? What's your first reason? What's your second reason? And possibly, what's your third reason? Now, they need to be quite distinct because they will become your paragraph. So this part here will become your introduction because you need to put your opinion into your introduction and into your conclusion. And also, once you know your opinion, well, you know the trajectory of the essay, how you will write the essay. Because if you, for example, with our question, if you say that knowledge is more important than an ability to connect with students, then that's where you're heading, that's your target, your conclusion, you will go in the right direction. Okay, so the reasons, this becomes paragraph 1, this becomes paragraph 2, and this becomes your optional, paragraph 3, okay? So you need to ask yourself these questions. For example, here's what I'm going to write about. What's your overall opinion? I'm going to say that having a good relationship with your students is more important than being knowledgeable about the subject. So I'm going to argue for this side of the argument, okay? So I need some reasons. My paragraph 1 will be about better performance. Having a good relationship with your students in class as a teacher means that they will perform better in terms of education. Also, they'll be more open to learning and they will enjoy learning more. So these are 3 distinct ideas. And you need to make sure that your ideas for your paragraphs are distinct and separate from each other because you don't want to mix your paragraphs and you also don't want to write about the same thing more than once in another paragraph. So try and sit there and think of 3 or 2, maybe 3 distinct, clear ideas because one paragraph, one idea. Your second paragraph, a separate idea. Okay, I'll show you how to do that as well. All right, so how do we write an introduction? How do we write an essay introduction? Well, as I said, we're going to have 3 sentences. The first sentence, we're going to write a general statement based on the prompt. Then we're going to rewrite the prompt in our own words, and then we're going to say, this essay will discuss blah, blah, blah. Now, you might like to think of it like this. We start out broad. You can think of it as an upside down pyramid. So we start broad, and that's the general statement. Then we rewrite the question in our own words. And then we do this essay will. And so it starts to focus down here, and it creates a trajectory, a logical structure for the rest of your essay. Start broad, and then go specific. Okay, so let's look at sentence 1. Write a general statement based on the prompt. So I wrote this. Besides our parents, teachers are arguably the most influential figures guiding us through our formative years. So this is just a basic general statement based on the prompt. It's not specific. It's just talking about how important teachers are, right? General statement about the importance of teachers. Fine. The prompt said, a teacher's ability to relate well with students is more important than excellent knowledge of the subject being taught. Now I need to rewrite this prompt in my own words. This is the second sentence. I rewrite the question prompt in my own words. So I wrote this. Here's the question prompt here. Let me read it again and then I'll compare it with mine. This says, a teacher's ability to relate well with students is more important than excellent knowledge of the subject being taught. I wrote, some believe that having excellent subject knowledge is less important than the way the teacher relates to the students at a personal level. This basically says the exact same thing as this, but in different words. That's all I've done. I've just turned that into that. It's not rocket science. Sentence 3, This essay will, and now I'll state my opinion. This essay will discuss why it is, in fact, a teacher's ability to relate well with his or her students that is more important than subject matter expertise. So my opinion here is about the teacher's ability to relate well with students is more important than subject matter expertise. And I've used this phrase here, this essay will. You can use this. I suggest you use this. This essay will discuss why blah, my opinion. Okay, done. So let me read you my introduction. Besides our parents, teachers are arguably the most influential figures guiding us through our formative years. Some believe that having excellent subject matter is less important than the way the teacher relates to the students at a personal level. This essay will discuss why it is in fact a teacher's ability to relate well with his or her students that is more important than subject matter expertise. You can see how I've started out broad and then I've worked my way to a specific opinion here. A broad background sentence, I rewrote the question, and then I said this essay will do this. Cool. Now we move to paragraphs. Okay, we've written an introduction, we have a clear opinion. Now we write the paragraph. So, my first paragraph will be about better educational performance. Okay, so that's going to be, I need to state that very clearly in my opening sentence, my sentence 1. And then sentence 2, I extrapolate, I expand on that idea, I give an explanation, and then I give an example, and then I just write a concluding sentence. So, state reason 1. Contrary to the belief that teachers need to be experts in their subjects, evidence shows that students actually learn more when they like their teacher. So better educational performance. Evidence shows that students actually learn more when they like their teacher. Fine. I've stated my reason 1. Now I need to expand upon that, give an explanation. We want to impress people we like. So when a student likes a teacher, they also want the teacher to like them. Good. So I've just extrapolated, expanded on that idea. And you can see here I've in fact written 2 sentences, so it's not necessarily set in stone. You can write more than 1 sentence, that's fine. Okay, fine. Now I need to give an example. For example, evidence shows that this is linked to longer attention spans and to higher levels of student motivation. That's my example. Now, examples can include, you can give some statistics, you can just make it up. You can say, statistics reveal that 99% of students appreciate teachers more when they like them as people, something like that. Or you can say, according to a recent study from Harvard University, blah, blah, blah. Or, for example, evidence shows, whatever it is. You can just make up the evidence here. You don't need real evidence. That's fine. Okay, great. Now I just need to conclude this sentence. So, having a teacher they like means that students will put in the effort to make sure they don't disappoint their teacher. Excellent. This is my paragraph. And while I read this, just think about how well structured this is, the logical structure of it. Contrary to the belief that teachers need to be experts in their subjects, evidence shows that students actually learn more when they like their teacher. We want to impress people we like, so when a student likes a teacher, they also want the teacher to like them. For example, evidence shows that this is linked to longer attention spans and to higher levels of student motivation. So having a teacher they like means that students will put in the effort to make sure they don't disappoint their teacher. Cool. Better educational performance. That's what this was about. Very well structured. We do the same thing for paragraph 2. Let's go through it one more time. This time I'm going to write a distinctly different point, which is that students are more open to learning. So in my first paragraph I talked about how a good personable teacher leads to better educational performance. Now I'm going to talk about how students are more open to learning as a result of having a personable teacher. Again, sentence 1, I'll state my reason. Then I'll expand upon it and give an explanation. I'll give some evidence, like an example, and then I'll conclude. Same thing. So here we go. Secondly, students feel more comfortable with a teacher they can relate to, and therefore they will be more open to learning. Now, I've just made it very clear here, more open to learning. That's my reason too, and I've said it explicitly, okay? You don't need to, you should say this explicitly, not hide it or make it too complex. Make it very clear and apparent what your paragraph will be about. Sentence 2, we give an explanation. Teachers are not just there to impart academic knowledge, but also to support their students' mental and emotional development. Okay, fine. Now we need some evidence or an example. For instance, teachers who relate well to their students will be more successful in reaching their students on a deeper level, as students will be more willing to approach them if they have an academic or personal problem. For instance, for example, according to recent statistics or something like that. And now I conclude this paragraph and I say, this supports the idea that the best learning happens in a supportive environment. Therefore, providing support is sometimes more important than imparting expert knowledge. You can see how my concluding sentence links back to my first opening sentence. They almost say the same thing, in fact. And there's my paragraph 2. I won't read it this time, but you can pause the video if you like and look at the logical coherence of this paragraph. I really do encourage you to follow this structure. And it's not, this is a structure. It's different to a template. If you're memorizing a template, you're going to run into a lot of problems because you have to memorize particular words and phrases, and it's very hard on your memory. Memorizing a structure is much easier. You know the 4-sentence paragraph, for example. You just know that you have to write the opening, the support sentence, the evidence, and the closing sentence. And you know that the introduction has 3 sentences. There's very little to memorize here. And it's also extremely flexible. So whatever question prompt you get on test day, this will work for that question prompt, no doubt about it. So yeah, I do encourage you to use this structure. It works well. I should come back, and I also encourage you to get feedback on your essays. One of the things we do at E2 Language is you submit your essays through the system, and a teacher will receive them and give you feedback, written feedback, including a score and areas to improve and whatnot. And we also run one-on-one tutorials if you need that real extra boost, okay? All right, well, how to write paragraph 3, it's the same thing. And perhaps I'll get you to write this one. Now, again, this is an optional paragraph. If you are under the word count, if you're below 300 words, then you might want to include a 3rd paragraph where all you need to do is think of a separate, distinct idea, like students enjoy learning more, for example. Again, you state the reason, give explanation, give an example, and conclude it. Okay, but this is optional depending on the word count. Okay. Cool. Let's talk about the conclusion, because this is a critical part of your essay to really wrap it up nicely. So we saw that the introduction has 3 parts. General statement, rewrite the prompt, this essay will. Then we learned how to write the paragraph. That's fine. The conclusion, what we do here is we briefly mention the reasons in 1 and 2. I'll show you how to do this, and possibly 3, depending if we wrote the 3rd one. And then we give our overall opinion. Let me show you how to do this. Briefly mention the reasons from paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. So let me show you. And I want you to use this phrase here. This essay discussed, past tense. This essay discussed how a well-liked teacher can improve educational performance, open students up to learning more, and make learning more enjoyable. So what this sentence does is it briefly restates the ideas in your paragraphs. This essay discussed paragraph 1, how a well-liked teacher can improve educational performance. Paragraph 2, open students up to learning more. And, if we included it, paragraph 3, make learning more enjoyable. See that? That's all I've done is just briefly mention reasons 1, 2, and possibly 3. Then I move to sentence 2, the final sentence of the essay, and I give an overall opinion. And I say, in conclusion, in my view, when it comes to teachers, knowledge is subordinate to the real teaching skill, which is being personable and likable. I've given my overall opinion. I probably didn't need to put this in here, to be honest. I probably could have just said, in conclusion, comma, when it comes to teachers, knowledge is subordinate or less important to the real teaching skill, which is being personable and likable. And you can see that this follows on from my introduction. Remember, in my introduction, I had my opinion. The final sentence of the conclusion also has the same opinion. So my overall essay is completely coherent. Let me read you the conclusion. This essay discussed how a well-liked teacher can improve educational performance, open students up to learning more, and make learning more enjoyable. In conclusion, when it comes to teachers, knowledge is subordinate to the real teaching skill, which is being personable and likable. My overall essay is this. I believe this was 298 words, right? So I've written 298 words. I don't need a paragraph 3. To get it to 300, all I need to do is add a couple of adjectives in here. I could add an adjective before this teacher and get it up to 300, and that's fine. But on test day, this is what your essay should look like on the computer screen. You can see the gaps, my introduction, and then I've got my paragraphs, and then I've got my conclusion. Cool. 308 words. In fact, it was 298. I apologize for that. Now, evaluation. How do we know we've written a good essay? Well, this is what the TOEFL base your essay grade on. 1, you clearly address the topic, which we did. 2, it's well organized. You use a logical structure, which we did. 3, has clear examples, explanations, and details to support your opinion, which ours definitely does. Uses correct sentence structure, word choice, grammar, and vocabulary. If you're worried about that, please do get some feedback from E2 Language. We can help you with that stuff. But this you can learn from our online course. This you probably need to speak to the teacher. That's cool. Right, we've done it. For TOEFL success, do check out e2language.com. We can help you out with any of the TOEFL tasks or essays or speaking parts, whatever you need help with. We offer the full course content, live group classes, one-on-one tutorials, and feedback. I hope that was helpful. If you're on the platform, I do want you to now go through and submit an essay for us to look at. That would be great. Cool. I'm Jay. I'll see you soon.